Controversies and group comparisons. How much of our intelligence is due to our genes, and how much is due to other factors? Genetic influences are examined by comparing the IQ similarity of identical and fraternal twins. First of all, there is a strong genetic component to intelligence. However, it is clear that it's a complicated situation. It's not like there's just one quote-unquote intelligence gene. More than 1,000 genes may affect intelligence, and researchers have been unable to identify the specific genes that contribute. Also, most researchers agree that there are both genetic and environmental influences on intelligence, and the environmental factors are complex. Income, school, health, and socioeconomic status are all intertwined and all contribute to individual differences in intelligence. For example, a child growing up in a wealthy family might have easy access to excellent schools, plenty of books, opportunities for travel, tutoring, and plenty of nutritious food. This is why things such as libraries and school lunch programs are so important. If schools are in the business of growing minds, then those minds need all the tools and resources that they need to grow, not just a lesson. The Flynn Effect refers to a worldwide increase in scores over a relatively short amount of time. As measured by the Stanford-Binet test, children seem to be getting smarter. Scores of a group tested in 1932 fell along the bell-shaped curve, with about half below 100 and half above. Studies showed that if children took that same test today, half would score above 120 on the 1932 scale. A few of them, very few of them, would score in the intellectually deficient end on the left side, and about 1/4 would rank in the very superior range. Researchers are continuing to find support for the Flynn effect in the 21st century. This increase may be due to vastly greater access to information and to generally increasing levels of education. When trying to measure intelligence, one problem is that it's not like measuring blood pressure or temperature. Somebody is coming up with the questions on these tests, and that often means that the test focuses on measures that the test maker considers relevant or important. Cross-cultural comparisons show that cultures vary in what they think it means to be intelligent. For instance, Western cultures emphasize reasoning and thinking skills, while Eastern cultures emphasize members of a community engaging in social roles. So cultural bias is an issue in testing. Early intelligence tests favored people from urban environments, middle socioeconomic status, and non-Latino whites. Those that do not speak standard English are at a disadvantage in understanding questions in standard English. Think about it. If you take an intelligence test and you get some questions wrong because you've never heard that expression before, then your score on the test would be lower. But it's not because you're less intelligent. It's just that the test wrongly assumes that you have had certain experiences and heard these expressions. That's an example of cultural bias in testing. One potential influence on test performance is stereotype threat, a fear that one's behavior might confirm a negative stereotype about one's group. This can cause feelings of anxiety and, ironically, result in the person performing worse than they normally would. Researchers have tried to develop what are called culture fair tests, which are designed to avoid cultural bias as much as possible. There are two types. The first type includes questions familiar to people from all socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds, such as, how are a bird and a dog different? Because almost all children around the world are familiar with birds and dogs. You would not ask a question like, why should a house be made of brick? Because this would be biased against children who have little or no experience with brick houses. The second type contains no verbal questions, such as the one pictured.